What's up, everybody? Sammy Paley here, and one of my all-time favorite reads is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's one of the books that's inspired me to become a writer, and I genuinely believe it's the blueprint to success. So if you haven't read it, I highly suggest it. Now, I was just scrolling through YouTube, and there's a ton of summaries on it, but they're all pretty long, so I wanted to just trim the fat, get right to the point. And besides, after they see how many views this video is going to get, they're all going to wish that they had a shorter summary as well. But first, a quick message from my sponsor.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Okay, you ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye. Wait, please don't go. Okay, that might have been a little bit too quick, but if you did want to read that summary, it's linked in the description down below, and I've got you covered. I'm still going to keep it really brief. You know what? Let's just get right into it. If I had to summarize this book in one sentence, it would be this. By learning to control our thoughts, we influence our actions, which influence the outcomes in our lives. In other words, we can literally transform our thoughts into their physical equivalent. We can think and grow rich. Now, there are 13 principles that Napoleon Hill talks about that highlights exactly how we can do this. So let's dive into each one now. In past episodes, I've talked about finding your beacon. I've talked about dreaming big and then dreaming bigger than that. And that's essentially what a burning desire is. It is something that means so much to you that you will stop at nothing for. And this principle is something that we all must find, because once we find it, it is the foundation upon which all the other principles rest upon, and it can genuinely influence everything in our lives. So what is your burning desire? But what is the thing that drives you? What is the thing that inspires you every day to take action? Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your vision? That's essentially what having faith means, and it's the second principle, but it's arguably one of the most important as well. Because if you don't believe in yourself, that's enough to stop most people from fulfilling what they actually want to do. But if you believe that if you take action, it will help you become the person you wish to be, then it really helps you show up on the days you don't want to. Our subconscious and conscious minds are communicating all the time. And we can influence that chatter we have between them because it'll happen automatically no matter what. And people who don't deliberately control their thoughts often have invasive and negative thoughts that come in. And that's truly why I believe that mental health problems are soaring, because there's people just, anxiety is running rampant. And on social media, we see just people's highlights and it makes us feel inferior and we can't help but feel like we're not enough. And then we start to communicate from our subconscious to our conscious mind. And it just leads to this downward spiral. But if we deliberately control our thoughts with positive thinking and with optimism, we'll start to see opportunities around us, because our subconscious mind feeds on our dominant thoughts. So deliberately control your thoughts and watch as everything around you starts to change. I love Family Feud and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and all those game show networks, but that's general knowledge. And the knowledge that can really help make your burning desire a reality is specialized knowledge that aligns with those things. So whatever it is you want to do, fully immerse yourself into that and watch as you start to see more opportunities around you, simply because you're consuming content that changes your perceptions and changes your outcomes. What really struck me in this part of the book is that anything material, like this couch, this painting, these glasses, anything that, I know, I should probably clean these actually, but anything material in the world was first conceived in someone's imagination. And imagination, I fear, is something that we as humans are losing a lot of, because we're so fixated on our screens all the time that we don't have time to be bored, and in boredom leads to imagination. That's why kids are so brilliant with imagination, because they're able to create these worlds and these realities, and this imagination can help fuel ideas that can help fuel our burning desires. It's why we get so many ideas in the shower, because we're just literally standing there and these ideas wash over us, and that's the power of imagination. So unplug more. That's my modern day translation of this 1930s book, is just, we need to be bored more, because boredom leads to imagination, and imagination creates a lot of magical things. It's easy to dream, it's easy to think about the person we wish to become, but in order to make those dreams a reality, we need organized plans to help get us from point A to point Z. So that's what this next chapter is about, organized planning, and it's just about planning out the necessary steps that can help get you from where you are to where you wish to be. We're about halfway through the video, so if you need a break or you need a drink of water, then go and do that now. This next part is about decision making and the need for quick decision making, and Napoleon Hill talks about how the most successful people make decisions promptly, but they change these decisions slowly. And in other words, it means that when you pick a decision, you commit to that, and if you need to change it, you do so, but you don't change your decisions all the time, because the enthusiasm you experience from immediacy or new ideas can actually take away from the boredom and the work you need to do on the things that might not be as exciting, but will have bigger payoffs if you stick with it long term. So this is essentially about cutting out procrastination, which I believe is the single greatest detractor from anyone's success. Now, to build off of the necessity for not procrastinating, persistence is such an important principle, and it's what Angela Duckworth talks about in her book Grit, which is all about the people who succeed. The ultra successes of the world are people who just simply show up and work harder than anyone. You get your reps in. And that's what this principle was for, and I would argue it's one of the most important. If you just never stop and you keep showing up and you persevere, then you'll be able to accomplish basically anything you want. And this chapter also talks about how persistence through setbacks and through temporary defeats is not failure. Failure only occurs when we accept those temporary defeats as permanent defeats and we stop trying altogether. Let's keep this one super simple. The people you surround yourself with matter a ton. And oftentimes when we're on our journey for success, we believe it's more of a solitary act, but it's not. You need to surround yourself with people who can help elevate you and get you to the levels you wish to be at. Now, it doesn't always need to be people though. It can also be content you consume, such as books or social media or just the places, the environments that you surround yourself in. But all of that will influence your thoughts, which influence your actions, which influence your outcomes. Your mastermind group is essential. I'll be honest, this principle was probably the toughest for me to grab, but essentially, it's about how our strongest emotions and strongest desires are what fuel our productivity and our action. Now, I talk about how you can use every situation to your advantage, and this is just a different way of talking about that from a biological perspective. This principle, which we talked about a little bit at the start of the episode when we talked about autosuggestion, very much relates to the importance of feeding our mind, our subconscious mind specifically, with dominant thoughts of a positive nature that align with the person we wish to be. So essentially, in more simple terms, what you think about is what the outcomes will be in your life. So if you think positive thoughts, you'll start to see positive things around you, and you'll actually start to attract those things due to the law of attraction. Now that's the last principle, the sixth sense, which is the knowledge of wisdom, and I'll get to that in just a second here. But our subconscious mind feeds on the dominant thoughts we feed it, and that's why it's so important to be deliberate and align those with our deepest burning desires. Principle 12 talks about the brain and how it's a center for receiving and sending out thoughts. And if we send out thoughts of a positive nature or thoughts that align with our burning desire, then we will attract people who believe similar things or who can contribute to that. And the more intentional you are with your thinking, the more you'll start to attract people around you who can help you become the person you wish to be. I see dead people. The 12 preceding principles all lead to what Napoleon Hill calls infinite intelligence. And basically what this is that all around us at all points in time, if we are vibrating on high levels of frequency in our thoughts, then we're able to connect with these higher levels of frequencies, higher levels of intelligence, the genius floating around that can help give us answers that we did not previously know. And it seems very far-fetched, and it took me a while to fully understand this, but we've all had this at some point when we're in a flow state. Like if you're writing a paper and sometimes you just get locked in and it doesn't even feel like it's you writing it. The ideas are just coming out of you and it almost feels like you're watching yourself type. You're in the flow state, and that's what this 13th principle is. It's the ability to connect with infinite intelligence that's swirling around us all the time. And if we practice the 12 preceding principles, then we can align ourselves with this knowledge that can help make our burning desires a reality. So that's ultimately the goal. I hope you enjoyed the summary of this video. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you all in a week.